welcome back. In our first journey, we explored the primal forces of the land. Today, we witness the birth of nations and the rise of the master builders who claimed it. This is the story of the sophisticated tribes and kingdoms that laid the true foundations of South Sudan. This is a story of human genius. Our history is deep. Archaeological evidence from sites like Dung Rial in Bahr el Ghazal proves that a complex culture based on cattle raising existed here as early as 800 AD. But Proto-Nilotic presence likely reaches back 5,000 years. Our ancestors were not wandering groups, they were the architects of an ancient and enduring civilization. Around the 14th century, a monumental shift began. Following the collapse of the Christian Nubian kingdoms to the north, a power vacuum allowed the Nilotic peoples, the Jieng, the Nuer, and the Shilluk, to embark on a great expansion. They didn't just move, they deployed a sophisticated social and architectural blueprint across the savannah. The Jieng were among the first to claim the savannas, bringing a decentralized order based on clans and a deep spiritual connection to their herds. Closely following were the Nuer, known for their fierce independence and democratic social structures. Their expansion created a dynamic and sometimes contested frontier driven by the search for prosperity. Among the migrants were the Luo-speaking peoples. Their departure from Bahr el Ghazal exported a specific model of social organization that would found tribes across East Africa. They were the regional architects of political identity, leaving an indelible mark on the history of modern-day Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. Their legacy remains our shared bond. Around 1490, the legendary hero Jieng led his followers to the White Nile. Tradition tells us Jieng did not die, but vanished in a whirlwind during battle. He left behind the Shilluk, or Cholo, kingdom, the only Nilotic group to establish a highly centralized and divine monarchy. At the heart of the Shilluk state was the Reth. More than a king, the Reth was a divine ruler. His health and spirit were believed to be inextricably linked to the fertility of the crops and the prosperity of the people. To touch the Reth was to touch the spiritual heartbeat of the entire nation. He was the living anchor of the land. At Fashoda, the Golden Age was built on intensive order. They mastered the Nile as a highway for a prosperous grain economy. The Shilluk showed the world that Nilotic life could be as centralized and powerful as any northern sultanate, thriving on intensive cultivation and order. While the Shilluk ruled the river, a different genius was at work in the southwest. Here, the Azande people forged one of the most expansive and warrior-driven states in our history. Their model was a marvel of military and social engineering. Whenever new territories were conquered, an Avungara prince was sent to establish a new autonomous kingdom. Under the fierce Avungara dynasty, the Azande expanded through discipline and assimilation. Their advanced metalworking and formidable warrior tradition made them the lords of the Equatorian savannas. They built a network of states unified by a shared belief in their destiny and their strength. The Azande were also masters of judicial logic. They used the benj, the poison oracle, to make the most vital decisions of state and law. It was a sophisticated system of justice that unified their vast network of states under a shared moral and tactical code that governed every aspect of their society. King Gabudwi was the culmination of this power. From his seat in Yambio, he became an immortal symbol of defiance, leading his people in fierce and sophisticated resistance against the foreign incursions of the late 19th century. He fought not just for land, but for the soul, the culture, and the freedom of his people. But throughout all our migrations and the rise of our kingdoms, the Nile remained the eternal thread. It was the river that connected our people, creating a shared identity rooted in its ancient and life-giving flow. It was here, along these banks, that the first seeds of our nationhood were truly sown. To the north, the Fungi Sultanate provided the ultimate test. This blue sultanate was where our traditional systems met northern trade and influence. It was a frontier of intense interaction where Nilotic power often clashed with northern steel for control of the great river and its vast resources. These kingdoms and migrations were the true architects of our heritage. They built sophisticated social, political, and spiritual systems that have endured through centuries of change. Our ancestors were builders of a complex civilization deeply rooted in the land and in the spirit of self-determination. The traditions they established, the divine leadership, the communal bonds, and the deep connection to the land remain the bedrock of our identity. They remind us that our history is deep, rich, and entirely our own, a legacy of kings, warriors, and explorers who tamed the great savannas.
In our next episode, we witness the arrival of outside forces and the dawn of the colonial era. The foundations were strong, but the greatest trials were yet to come. The world of tribes and kingdoms was about to collide with the global ambitions of distant empires. The story is only beginning.
I'm Mr. Yol, your armchair historian. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the birth of our nations. Together, we are reclaiming our story, one sophisticated chapter at a time, until we meet again. Keep the history alive and deep in your heart. I'll see you in the next one.